Um, Thank you, Babette, and thank you to everybody who made it today. It's a great pleasure to welcome an old friend, Rotimi Adebari, who is joining us from very far away, Lagos, Nigeria. So we get to hear from him later. We have not met for a few years, but it's great to catch up, and hopefully he will inspire us. This is part of the Black History Month. And today, as we said in the advert, we'll be hearing from the first black mayor in Ireland. That's Rotimi Adebari, who is on the call. But to set the scenes, I thought I would try and very quickly talk about my frame the discussions within the PhD research I did between 2005 and 2009, just to frame what we are going to say, and then we will. I have a few questions which I prepared and agreed with Rotimi, but he is a politician, so you are welcome to prepare questions and ask him some hard ones, if you may. But to start with, I will do a short presentation, and then after the presentation, I will introduce formally Rotimi Adebari, and then afterwards, obviously, you'll get a chance to ask questions. I have prepared questions in case people are shy and they don't want to ask questions. Rotimi, do you want to say hi? Say hello to everybody.
I hope everyone can hear me on this platform. Good afternoon, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, and I want to thank you, Fidel, for this opportunity. Thank you. I think you're doing a great job there. And because without a doubt, the leadership is highly important and essential. And I remember that is what your research topic centers on within the minority ethnic groups in Ireland at the time. So it's a great pleasure to be on this platform, and I look forward to engaging with the participants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll do the short presentation. I promise you I won't be wrong, because I don't want to bother people with what I have to say. I think it is key for us to hear from Rotimi Adebari rather than hear about my research project. And for those people who are interested for a longer chat, obviously we'll get a chance to do it. Okay, so just to set the scenes, when you go in a new place, same like coming to MK 7 years ago, in my case, it is very difficult to find out knowledge, particularly about things people take for granted. So I lived in the Republic of Ireland between 1995 and 2014, and it took me a while to discover that actually I had two opportunities to participate in elections in Ireland before I became a citizen. So how did it come about? So I was doing a small project in a local community in Dublin, and then I was trying to gather information for the so-called new communities. Those were migrants who had made home a particular district in Dublin. So we produced two documents. One was a directory of services they could access. The other was an information pack which covered their rights and entitlements. So it was in this context I discovered in 2001 that, in actual fact, since 1963, anybody who lives in Ireland could vote and stand in local elections. So that was an interesting one. I couldn't believe it, because I had missed out on the elections in 1999. If I had known, I would have voted in the local elections in 1999, but I had missed my opportunity. I also discovered that as a graduate of one of the universities in the Republic of Ireland, I could vote in the Senate elections, which I didn't know, and I had missed out in, I think the elections we had elections in 2002. I don't think probably 2002 I voted. So the previous elections would have been in 1997. I was still a student. I may not have qualified. So this brings us to, obviously, me being interested and then starting to do some research on it. So through an organization called Africa Center, we did research in 2003. We did another piece in 2004. We raised awareness, and that's in that context when I started becoming aware of what Rotimi Adebari was doing, and he'd be talking about it. So two things happened in 2004, which are worth mentioning. We had local elections, and Rotimi, along with Dr. Tayo Matthew, got elected as town councillors in the Republic of Ireland, and they had only been living there for less than 4 years. He will have to tell us how he did it, but obviously I'm looking forward to it. So at the same time, we had a referendum on the right to citizenship for children born in Ireland. So in a way, I was very annoyed with the outcome of the referendum, but delighted that some people had made headlines for positive reasons rather than removing the right of people to vote. So Rotimi Adebari subsequently became mayor of Portlaoise in 2007. He talked about it. And in the process, I did my PhD, and my PhD, I'll talk a little bit about it. Yeah, so my research was mainly to try to figure out how could somebody, a stranger, come and within a short period of time make such a difference. I was also looking at people who had run some successful uh, civic campaigns, like the right to work, for example, to name just a few. We had a few rights, and I needed to go and try to understand what was going on. And when I was doing some sort of research, I discovered that in Australia, such a success took up to a generation. So which made the experiment very fascinating. And subsequently, obviously, I started collecting information and started looking at how to explain what was going on. So I looked at the theories of social capital. You can add cultural capital, political capital. I looked at the whole idea of a migrant career theory, where you start and then over time you build up your profile. Eventually you end up in those positions. And then I revisited the work of Michel Foucault on creative resistance. I'm not going to delve into those ones. I'll leave it for further discussions. If people want to talk to me today, it's about Rotimi Adebari. I'm not going to talk too much. So in the end, I settled for Michel Foucault's explanation, which depicted how you could be in an environment which was, I don't want to use the term hostile, which is not conducive to your success. At the same time, creatively find ways of making sure you succeed. So one way of doing it was becoming what academics call to be a good stranger. And then I have suggested how a good stranger, how it works. Then becoming a local, because in Ireland, politics is local. So if you don't attend funerals, for example, you are digging your own political grave. So you have to know what is happening. And I'm very sure Rotimi Adebari will tell us one or two things about it. And finally, no matter how much effort you make to be a good stranger and become a local, you have to be aware of your ethnicity, because you are always the other. And if you neglect it, obviously it will be to your peril, because when you are attacked, you will not be able to defend yourself for pretending to be what you are not. So in terms of limitation of my research, I only spoke to successful migrant leaders. I did not speak to all the actors, and I'm very sure there are a few actors who tried and failed. That's something I accept, because it wasn't part of what I was looking at. So I was also told that I gave a pass to the structures, because if we are talking about what people are doing, we are not asking the structures. And in fact, up to 2003, one of the political parties at the time excluded non-EU citizens from membership of the political party, notwithstanding the fact that they could vote and stand in local elections. And the piece of work I did, I can raise my fist and say, well done. I managed to force this political party to change their constitution. And when I look back on my activism, it's probably one of my highest achievements. So, and what we didn't cover in the research was actually to look at the support structures behind those leaders like Rotimi Adebari. And I'm very sure I'll talk about it, because if you look at the leader only, the leader is part of an infrastructure of winning. A person alone can't win. Okay, so eventually then I developed my own theory, which was how the three pillars which make creative resistance work. how they are all interdependent. If you remove one, you can't have creative resistance. So I don't think we need to share the slide, the PowerPoint now. We can take them out and then literally open up for Rotimi Adebari's opportunity to share with us what he is doing rather than me talking. I think you are 10 minutes of my talking. That's more than enough. Okay, so while we encourage people to use the chat, I'll keep an eye. It's on my right-hand side. I'll keep an eye. So I will start just to set the scenes. Maybe I ask you to introduce yourself, Rotimi. Now I have spoken about you as a sort of a town councillor, a council member, eventually a mayor. Tell us something about you. Forget about what I know. You are talking to my colleagues here.
Thank you, Fidel. And once again, it's a pleasure to be on this platform. I think Fidel has sort of touched it all. And then what else do I need to add? Because how it all started, he was part of it. And then, I mean, the point he was making there about the research where he found out that actually migrants can take part in local politics in Ireland has been in existence since the 60s, but nobody seems to be aware. Maybe until the 90s or maybe early in the new millennium, actually. So, and then it is such a discovery that brought people like myself into the political landscape in Ireland. Because I have to say, when I arrived Ireland in 2000, the last, and I mean the last, the last water I want to swim in is the political water. Because I know how muddy and how dirty political water could be. If you don't want to get stained, you don't go near political water to swim because they'll call you all sort of names and you come out being very mucky and being very dirty. So I arrived there and I just dipped myself into community work because politics wasn't, it wasn't, I mean, I just believe I wasn't cut out for politics, but I'm cut out in helping humanity without a doubt. And why did I say that maybe I wasn't cut out for politics is I would have come from a part of the world that, I mean, politics, it's something else. I mean, it's very murky. It's characterized with a lot of things. It's like you are politicians, they see you as being maybe, you know, of an honest character and all of that. And then it's all about making money. So if that is the perception about politicians, I would rather keep politics at arm's length. And there are other ways I can touch people's lives. And that was what I engaged in when I arrived Ireland in the year 2000. My background was in economics, and I work in sales and marketing in a television station back in Nigeria before I left the country. And I arrived in Ireland thinking that, yeah, with my background in sales and marketing, it shouldn't be much of a difficulty in getting a job around that, in that space. But it was tough. For every job I was applying for, I was meeting brick walls. And when I say brick walls, I mean brick walls. I mean, and I was coming across expressions like, oh, we're sorry, we'll prefer a local. And for all of this, it didn't even make any sense to me. What is local? Until I attended an interview and it was said to me, and I remember this interview was, it was a car retailing outlet in Portlaoise. I live in Portlaoise, just for those of us on this platform. Portlaoise is in the Midlands in Ireland, just about 53 miles outside of Dublin. And so I went for this interview. They were looking for a sales consultant. I saw all the job spec and all of that. And you know, when you read a job ad, you say to yourself, this is actually carved out for me. I saw the job ad, I thought, this job is for me. This is after I've been refused many opportunities. We will keep your application on file. Oh, you are overqualified. You are this and that. Okay, I got this, and I got the offer to attend interview. So the interview went very well. And at the end of the interview exercise, I got asked the questions that normally you as an applicant, as an interview, get an opportunity to ask the panel of interviewers. And this was when they said to me, do you have any questions? They asked me if I have questions for them. And I said, well, let me first thank you for giving me this opportunity. And my question is just this. Would you please tell me, who is your ideal sales consultant? That was my question to these two guys at the top of the table. And they look at one another and they turn to me and say, oh yeah, good question. We're looking for an individual with excellent communication skills. I tick that box. I might have my accent. Yeah, that's natural. 2, we're looking for an individual with a third level education. Again, I thought this job is coming my way. I have a degree in economics and I've been in sales and marketing for close to 10 years before I left Nigeria. And there's a 3, and lastly, and preferably a local. Oh, and when it's a local, I repeated again. I said, did you just say a local? And they said, yes. I said, preferably a local. I was using that opportunity to get myself together. What will my response be? Because I thought this is an opportunity for me now to let these guys know that, you know what, I'm more local than local. Because interview is about selling yourself. If you cannot sell yourself for a job, there is no point in you, standing or sitting in front of those guys or applying for that job in the first place. So I just thought, oh, these guys, you missed the point. Oh, you want me to prove to you that I'm local? Okay, I will. And I said to them, I said, you know what? I have, the person I would describe as local. They said, tell us. They asked to me, oh, okay, tell us. I said, for anyone who live in an area for a considerable period of time, that person, I would describe him as local. Then I was only 2 years in Ireland. And I went on to say, you know what, I'm 2 years in this county. I know this county inside out. I'm a member of this organization. I'm a volunteer with that voluntary group. I set up this group. I have worked as a volunteer with this. I am that, and I went on and on and on. And I said that with all this, I know the county like the back of my arm. And given the opportunity, I will sell the product for you, blah, blah, blah. And then, when I was done, I said, that sounds interesting. Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. We will get back to you shortly. I left that room with my shoulder raised high. I thought, yes, I'd gotten that job. I couldn't wait to get home to share the good experience with my family. So I got home, I told my wife, you know what? I think we should be expecting letter in the post in the next few days. We have a job now, at least 2 years of voluntary and all of this. I think I can have a job. It was on a Monday, the month of May 2002. I never forget. 3 days later, I was on a Wednesday. An Irish friend came calling. His name is Darren. And he was aware of my interview exploit. So he asked me, Rotimi, how did your interview go? Well, I said, oh, it was good. It was good. Oh, tell me about it, he said. And I explained to him what I've just said to you guys on this platform. He couldn't stop laughing. He said, Rotimi, you're missing the point. And it's like, what point am I missing? I asked him. He said, all your definition of local is not what they're looking for. That the local they are looking for is white Irish. Oh, no, I said, don't tell me that, Darren. That cannot be true. Before I got the interview, from my name, they should have discovered this is not Paddy Murphy. This is not a typical Irish name, Rotimi Adebari. I said, no, that cannot be true. I got an interview. They knew this is not a typical Irish name, and I got interviewed. So I was arguing with this, my friend. We kept going back and forth. At the end of the day, he said, okay, well, no problem. When you get the result, let me know. And I said, don't worry, I'll let you know as soon as I get the result or the reply from them. So before the end of that week, maybe Friday or Monday, the reply came just so quickly. And it's like, we're sorry, we will keep your application on file. So that was a turning point in my job search. And that was the moment I knew that I think what my friend was saying, it was very correct. And that was the point I said to myself that I think, yes, I've come across a lot of name callings on the street. It seems as if this is really happening, really. And then if I can be turned down because, well, I'm not local enough, and it doesn't matter what other skills and competencies I have that can bring onto the job, the fact that you're not local, so you're not getting it, I said to myself, you need to go out there and educate the local community. Tell them about yourself, the part of the world you are from. Like I said, I've gotten called in all sort of names. Tell them, I mean, what it is like in Africa. Showcase your kind of culture to them. Let them know that, you see, we are all human beings. I mean, we are, the fact of the matter is that I am black, you're white. I'm sure some of our audience or participants here are white. But when you look at our shadows, it is pretty all the same. That I needed to go out there and talk to the community. Let them know my history, my part of the world. I mean, what it is like. Then they would have an understanding. And how did you start? I asked myself the question. I said, start local and begin with the younger generation because they are the future. The thing is that for the adults, what is it called is formed already. But for the younger ones, the young kids are like sponge. They soak in everything. And I said, go into the school and start the cultural awareness campaign. So I placed a call to the principal of the school that my eldest son was attending at the time, Des. And I asked Des, you know what? Do you mind if I come into the school and give a talk on culture differences? The man said, Rotimi, can you do it? I said, yes, I'm willing to do it. He said, if you can, please come. I need it badly. That do you know 2 years ago when your son was enrolled in my school, I'm quoting him now, he was one and only black child in that school in Portlaoise. When I was talking to him in 2002, there were 17 different nationalities in the same town. That is how quickly the country changed. The diversity all over the place. It became an issue, and I can understand to grapple with it. It's a challenge. So they needed support. And that is how I started my, and I did not call it consultancy. Actually, it wasn't consultancy at the start. Just go in and talk to students. And then they'll begin to grow up together like that and see one another as one. But the seed I sowed then, other schools heard of it, and they started calling me. And each time I finished or I was done with them, they will ask, send us your invoice. And I'll say to them, no, I'm doing this voluntarily. And they kept saying, you know what? There is a gap here. And you can get a job for yourself here. And at the end of the day, it became a consultancy for me. And it became something I was doing not only in my local community, but the entire country. And in fact, across Europe as well. And how my election came into being, we can always talk about that later. But that is pretty much about me in a nutshell. I hope that sets the ball rolling. Thank you.
So thank you. So while you take your breath, maybe I'm wondering if when we'll build up to you being elected as a town councillor, maybe tell us about how did the idea of setting up a cleaning committee come about?
Okay. Now, thank you, Fidel. You see, the training consultancy, like I said, started with my experience of job search. Because if I had gotten a job in a car retailing outlet, or if I've gotten a job with with uh, um, with Coca-Cola, I mean, setting up a training outfit would not be in my thought. I would have just been doing my thing, go to work in the morning and back in the evening and look after my family. But this is one thing again that sometimes when we fail out on one thing, another opportunity just, spring up its head for you. When I couldn't get a job and there is this competency in me, the skill set in me, if it is to impact knowledge, I know that it's part of me, it's inbuilt. So, and people will say that I can be very persuasive. And yeah, I'm a people's person, without a doubt. I can attest to that as well. So that's really play out. It worked out in my favor. When it's so sad though that well, if you look at the genesis of it, is that you are rejected here, but then I did not, because of that rejection, get rejected myself or reject myself, or just sank onto a chair and say, oh, that's it, that's the end of the world. No, I knew that I needed to make a living. I needed a future where my children will be proud that this is a country that they are born into, and this is a country they are part of. Because one thing I have said to them, in all my trainings, is that you might not accept routine. You might have issue with routine, but you have to understand one thing. This country has changed, and it might never be the same again. I know some don't like that each time I say it, that you are coming here to tell us that we can never be the same again. It is the reality. The world is becoming a global village. And so what we got to do is we just have to wake up to the changes and how do we work together. And I know integration is not an easy thing. If you want integration, there has to be proper education. Because in most cases, people see integration as a one-way thing. The host community, it is natural. The belief that you are the one that came here, you chose to come here, you have to come to us and you have to reach out to us. And then the migrant community, you find them, they get caught up in their own silos, in their own small groups. They don't reach out. And then everybody are on their own end of the pedestal. At this end is the migrant, at the other end is the host community. Until we all come out of our comfort zone and find a meeting place, a blending point, that is when we'll be talking of integration. And to get this to happen, this is where education is the key. Leadership is important. You need somebody who serves as a role model up there that can be looked up onto from both communities, both the migrant and the host community. And then, so when I set up my consultancy, when this became a consultancy, what I had to do, I had to design training courses for local community groups, the job clubs, for schools, and then for corporate bodies as well. And I was getting phone calls, I mean, left, right, and center, that, oh, we have this, we understand you are doing this. And a lot of the phone calls I was getting was through referrals. And man, no man, I know one man tell another man that, oh, there is one guy that is doing this training now, because the likes of Fidele were in Ireland ever before I arrived there. I mean, I think Fidele arrived in Ireland in 1995, if I still recall. And I only came in 5 years later. And maybe Fidele would have been in the same shoe I am in if he has not been caught in the partnership job that he was doing. And from there, he moved on to the Immigrant Council of Ireland. But it is good because his own calling is able to support the callings of people like myself. Even though I did not see that in me at the start, I could become where he said politicians at the start. I never claimed to be a politician. I rather prefer to be a community activist, and that is what I have been. I engage with my community and I represent them. So, but people see that as politics because everything, it also has to be played out anyway. But I still prefer that. But either I like it or not, I've been into political foray in Ireland, and that is who I am. So, so the work of the likes of Fidele supports the ambitions of people like myself. I mean, even though I did not directly have that ambition, I have to say to you that it was even the people that put that thought into me. Because in the course of my training, delivering training to groups, and I tell you this will interest you now. I have entered into a training room that if you have a knife, you can slice the air in the room. This is to tell the kind of, the sort of hatred. I have entered into a training room that the ladies on the front row, they turned their back the moment I entered into the room. They were backing me. And it's like, wait a minute. You guys are aware that you are here for a cultural awareness training. And you know somebody is coming to deliver this training, Rotimi. And I came in, they just turned their back. But I can see where they are coming from. By the time we do 3-hour session, we became best of friends. You won't believe it. They then turn around. They say, oh no, we never know you are different. And what I always say to them is, I'm not different from the rest. Well, but because you've been able to reach out to me, or I'm able to reach out to you, we're able to have conversation. You know where I'm coming from. I know where you are coming from. The same blood that flows in your vein flows in my veins. Your needs and my needs, they're not different. We are all human beings and natured. So if we have that understanding, but if we don't communicate, there is bound to be misunderstandings and misconceptions. So all these are what my trainings are able to address. And you know, by the time I do that 3 hours, we became best of friends. Those who have been very hostile that you can slice the air with a knife, the air becomes so, we become one. And then they are the one over time that was actually approaching me. They said, Rotimi, you seem to have these fantastic ideas that we think you will make an impact. in our local politics. When they started that, I couldn't stop smiling. I would say, oh, no, just don't drag me into politics. I'm not cut out for it. And they kept, no, we just know you have something unique, something different. And again, I said, okay, now let's address this. I wasn't born here. This is Black. I know how many names have been called on the street. You want me to go knocking on doors? And they said to me, don't worry. We will knock on doors for you. And we will not only knock on doors for you, we will canvass our families and friends to vote for you. Believe me, true to their promises, and they lived up to it. Because I remember the local media, the national media never, ever given me any chance of winning a seat. Is that where is it? Because you know the proportional representation voting pattern in Ireland, the way it works. And there are names in politics that they are like dynasty. So that is the way it goes. The voting patterns is always the same. And here is this one Black guy that just arrived, a town of about 10,000 people, and he thinks he can just get a vote. Where's he going to get it from? And there are very few migrants in town. So I was never given any chance. But I will still say, and I still give that kudos to the people of Portlaoise up until today. They're the one that made it happen. They promised that they will, and they lived up to their promises. They did not only follow me around, they went around and knocked doors on my behalf.
Yeah, you take a break now, okay? So I'll try and say something while you take a break because you've been speaking for some time. So, and this is an anecdote, and it's all about Rotimi Adebari. So he approached me before he decided to become a candidate. So I said, send me your CV. But the reason why I was asking for the CV wasn't because I was offering him a job. I just wanted to make sure that he ticked boxes. He ticked boxes which I felt were necessary for somebody to be a successful politician in the Republic of Ireland. So, and I remember actually the email came through. Not only that, he had already prepared some sort of a leaflet for the campaign. And I remember I actually called him within minutes of receiving the email. I told him, you know what? I think the seat is yours to lose. And he said, are you sure? And I said, yes, I'm sure. And obviously I was aware of, I was asking about the street cleaning work he began as a way of setting him up for, but he doesn't have to talk about it. I'll talk about it myself. So there was an asylum seekers hostel in Portlaoise, the town where he lived. And there were many asylum seekers who were not allowed to work, sitting there, obviously because of this the whole idea of benefit cheats and so forth, and all the things you say about the other the spongers and you can have got so many names. So he was courageous enough to go to this hostel and tell them, instead of sitting here whinging and giving out, maybe you should use your time wisely. You are not allowed to work, but you are not, nobody prevents you from volunteering. So he managed to persuade them to do some street cleaning where they would walk the street and then start taking the litter out and putting it away. And as a result, the locals started to engage and started to see those asylum seekers who were considered to be the other as part of the tapestry of Portlaoise. So when he told me all those anecdotes, he didn't talk about being involved in playing at a local tennis club, the things he did for churches. He spoke about schools, the community, setting up an organization for people who are unemployed in the town. So when I saw the list, I said, okay, so if he doesn't want to, if he doesn't qualify as a local, who qualifies as a local? By the time I had not yet begun my biographical research and asked him to tell me about the car salesperson position, I discovered it subsequently. But based on what I heard at the time, I was confident he had enough local credentials to successfully run for a campaign. And when he reassured me that he had people to go and knock on the doors, I said, okay, you know what? You better go. And so he'll talk about it. And then when you finish talking about your experience of the election, what happened, maybe build up to the time you become you became mayor, and I'd be happy to step in again and talk about my own personal experience of being there when the history was in the making. Tell us, Rotimi, about how you became a town councillor to start with. You are muted.
Okay. Thank you, Fidel. It's if we, I'm cautious of time, and I know that. You see, I think it's high time I probably have to write my book, and I want to say that this is a great forum, a great platform to be, and I think maybe the authority there you want to consider a platform like this. I think it is important for the minority ethnic groups to have talk like this or presentations of this nature, whereby people are getting to know what their rights are and what they are entitled to. So, and I will be happy, I mean, to be part of that if there is an opportunity of that nature in future. Okay, so talking about how it all happened for 2004 local elections, I think you sort of touched on it. Like Fidel said there, I said earlier as well that I threw myself into the local community full time. And because when I couldn't get a job, and I just thought, and there's no point in sleeping and waking up doing nothing. So I started going from offices to office. Can I volunteer with you? I mean, one thing that first shocked me was that they said, oh, even with all my skills and my academic background, they said, oh, we can't take you on because we need insurance for you. It was strange to me that what sort of insurance? I'm not asking you to pay me. Just let me come in and then share my skill sets. And no, we need to get insurance. But later I understand what that means. So in other words, for some corporate organizations, I couldn't volunteer. But for voluntary groups, and when even some of the community groups are dragging their feet, I set up the group that was cleaning Portlaoise that Fidel was talking about, because there are so many people, I mean, few of us around actually, and there is this perception that, oh, they are here to take the social welfare, they are here to do this, and let's give back to this community. Let's prove some of these people wrong. That no, that's not why we're here. So every Friday we will all come out, and then we will keep the town tidy. We will keep the town tidy. We will clean everywhere, and people will come to us. Oh, are you paid to do this job? And answer was no, we're not paid. We are happy to do this, and that started. Then I set up a support group for the unemployed. There was a jobs club in Portlaoise, one of the community groups. They have tried many times to get the unemployed together. It was never successful. I attended the jobs club for 3 weeks. It's always a 3 weeks when you want to get back to work. And then at the end of the 3 weeks, I saw the gap that there is a need for us to be meeting regularly. And then we can exchange ideas. If there are job opportunities, we can share that among ourselves. We buy local newspapers and we look for job opportunities and all of that. So I was able to get people together, and the community groups were surprised. Oh, Rotimi, how did you do this? They've been trying for years. This guy won't come back. I got them back. And then that is how that community group, at the end of the day, I got elected onto their board. I become one of the board members. And then, so apart from just looking for job opportunities, we equally look for issues that are of concern to unemployed. For instance, depression, I mean, managing finances and all of that. So I have to find speakers in to come and address the unemployed on how do we avoid depression, how do we manage the little resources that we have. You won't believe it, the room will be full to the brim each time we have these meetings. And the groups were saying, wow. So, and the media will be there. They cover all of this. And when I am talking about unemployed, I am not referring to the unemployed migrants. I am referring to the unemployed in the community, both the Irish and non-Irish. The places were full, packed. And then, so this actually, not knowing that, like I said, I never had any political ambition, not at all. I was doing this, that we are there for one another, and we have some structures on ground that is able to support us. I mean, at the time, that group was called PCAP, Portlaoise Community Action Project. and it all went on to become, I think, a national, there's a new name for them now, so the community groups. So it was while all that was ongoing that, and then I played tennis when I was back in Nigeria. So, and I joined the local tennis club, and we won medals, and we won championships, and so it's everywhere I go, people will call Rotimi. So, oh, Rotimi, if I'm not in the tennis field, I mean, they call, I mean, on the tennis court. So I'm out in the walking down the street, people will come over to me that, oh, we have they have maybe issue with their unemployment payment. Can you help us? Because as at that stage, I have set up a support group for the unemployed in the county. So, and because of that again, the Irish National Organization of the Unemployed, INOU, elected me into the board of their national organization. So I'm bringing the national clout into the county. I'm in the board of the local group. And then there was what we call the County Development Board at the time as well. The County Development Board, I was elected onto the board, not into the county or the stage. So, and like I said earlier, so in the course of my consultancy trainees, people were coming up to me that, why not consider this? Why not try it? We will vote for you. We will converse with you. And I thought, okay, why not? So, and I remember, that's true, I had a conversation with Fidele. Actually, there was a meeting at, I think, African Center in around 2003 or thereabout, before the local elections. This was the guards, everybody were there. This was when the idea of the migrants can vote actually came in, and then the notices began to go out that you guys, you don't need to have Irish citizenship before you can vote. It was Fidele that brought this up at that meeting, that day in one of the hotels in Dublin. I can't remember which hotel this was happening. David McKinley. Is it David? Is it
McInerney?
McInerney, yeah. He was there, and many of them. So, and then it's like, okay. So we all got back, and and normally the thing is that I knew to run in an election, you probably need a political party. But no political party will come near somebody like myself. Because if corporate bodies, companies are saying that we prefer local, you have to give to them. I mean, to be fair to them. So if they have to field this guy, who knows him in the community, is the sort of thing you will be getting. So because that the fear, the same fear, and this is the fear that is killing the human existence. Until we get rid of our fear, we won't be able to move on. Because the fear that is there in the corporate world that, oh, if we hire this guy, what would my customers feel? The same fear is in the heart of the politicians of political parties. That if we feel these people that, okay, I say people now, so sorry in quote, that they know what the larger community are saying about the people, and then, oh, who is going to, will their party gain more votes or lose more votes? I mean, will their business gain more customers or lose more customers? So at that early age, so it, because I see myself as one of the forerunners in Ireland. I mean, to be modest, to be very, I mean, I don't know. I know that Fidel was there before me, but in politics and all of this, we are the ones that brought all these out in Ireland, and you are bound to have the challenges. But I'm happy that now all those things are subtle, what we are able to go through, and that is what I was saying in 2004. And I remember the slogan, my slogan was the reality of our future. My political slogan, I call it the reality of our future. How did I come about that slogan? Is that the reality of our future is to involve people of different minority backgrounds now. That is the reality of the future. If you don't now, it's going to happen in future. Why not now? And I tell you, on an occasion, I was putting up my my poster. It was a very modest A3. Why the political parties are having big banners? I only have an A4 little poster because I was self-employed. I was no political party, independent candidate. So no party will come near me. Even the media has written me off already. So, but then I still believe that this is the reality of our future. And because political power is important, you might have all of the powers, but political power is the determinant. What your economic policy will be
Politics determines it. What your social welfare would the line it will toe, the political leadership will determine it. If you are not around the table where issues are discussed, if you are out of the door, you are not part of the discussion. You need to be in there. And I believe that, and I've seen that over the years. And I thought, okay, I'll put my name forward for this. And then I remember putting up this small poster. It was in front of a bicycle repairer, Michael. I'll never forget this incident. And this man came up to me because the office is right, his bicycle repair shop is right in front of the pickup that I was a member of their board. So he knows me very well. I'm in and out of that office. So he saw me putting up the poster. He looked up on the pole. Oh, he said, Rotimi, is that you on the poster? And my answer was yes. Oh, are you running for elections? I answered yes. Are you mad? He asked me. I said, no, I'm not. What gives you the impression that you can be elected? He asked me. I said, you know what? They don't necessarily need to elect me. But can you see the slogan? The reality of our future. But if you believe in that reality, Michael, you vote for me and tell your friends to do the same. He said, fair play to you. I'll never forget that expression. Fair play to you. Now, eventually the election came and I got elected. And you know, you had to take down the posters. When I went to take down the posters, Mike ran up to me. He gave me a beer hug. He said, Rotimi, you've done it. I am born and bred in this town, quoting him now, that he can never, ever contemplate him vying for a political office in the town and get elected. And I said to him, Mick, you know what? If I've done it, it means you too can do it. If elected me, you can get elected, Mick. And that is the sort of things. And this is the message I want to pass out, and I keep passing out to all the migrant community wherever we find ourselves. But the first thing is that we got to engage with our community, because things are never going to happen in vacuum. People need to know who they are voting for. If we keep to ourselves and we think that that's all about it, it's not going to happen. And I'm happy you mentioned the Direct Provision Center there when you were talking, Fidel. The Direct Provision Center was in County Leash. And they had vote, but they did not have vote in my electoral area. This is the interesting thing. They had vote in another electoral area because that Direct Provision Center is not in Portlaoise Town. Its house is in a different electoral area. So my election in 2004 predominantly, believe me, were voted by the white Irish community. But I knew that I needed to build my my constituency. I need to build my base. That is politics. If you don't, because I know with time, my court, I need to be expanding I have to expand my horizon. And the only way to build that is to empower my people, to empower the migrants, to register to vote. Because like yourself, a lot of them don't believe they had a vote in the local elections in that 2004. Few of them in town, but they did not register. But when they saw it happened, they then knew that, oh, wow, this can happen. So before 2009 local election, they have then, a good number have registered. So we can now have what we call the customer base that I can tap into. I did not have that, as I say, customer base. So, well, I think it's not customer base, that's the constituents base, you see, like the electoral base. So because my voting or my elections in 2004 came from the base of the host community, from the political parties. And I knew they would want to get it back in the next election. So I need to strategize, and I needed to, and that I did. So when 2004 election came, eventually I got elected. It was, like I said, the kudos goes to the entire town and to all the people that gave me their support. And I will always be appreciative of that honor that was bestowed on me.
Yeah. Thank you, Rotimi. So I'm just building up to the mayorship. And what I'm going to do is, and I see you are there, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay, so we were meant not to allow people to ask questions, so you have to raise your hand so that Babette can let you open your mic and your camera and talk to Rotimi, because there is a Portlaoise connection. Anyway, you are the one. You told me anyway, so you can blame yourself. But before we do that, so we'll finish the next 8 minutes be my discussions with you, Rotimi. So then you open up to everybody else, because it wouldn't be fair, because we have to finish at quarter past 3. So then we are going now. We are in 2004 and we are moving towards 2007. So 2007, I get this note from Rotimi Adebari telling me that he's likely to be elected mayor of Portlaoise. Just to explain to our audience, the mayor is elected by councillors. They are not elected by the constituents. So the councillors choose one among them to become mayor for a year, and that's what he did. So eventually, when he said, "Okay, I'm likely to be elected," I got too excited. Obviously, we even told everybody, including our families, we are going to be there, and we did actually go. And I was taken aback by the fact that there seemed to be more media crews than the room could accommodate. It's as if Dublin had descended into this small town. Embassies, CNN, BBC, Sky News, and so forth. So it was an event which actually was epoch-making, as people would say. So tell us then, how did you go about securing this post to get your colleagues to entrust you the sort of the levers of becoming mayor of Portlaoise?
That's a very good one. Now, you see, like I said, I think I need to write my book now. Maybe each time I keep talking about this, and I think after this, now maybe I'll be motivated to just get this started now. You see, that one is a good one, and it's a very big one, because this is where, politics is about compromise, and politics is about negotiation. So you have to negotiate, you have to compromise, and to our audience on this platform, just like Fidel said, in Ireland, in Portlaoise in particular, because I think maybe the mayor of Dublin now is been elected by the electorate. That changed in the last couple of years, but most other towns and cities, the mayors are elected by the councillors. It's only the councillors that are elected by the populace. Now, my town council was a 9-seater town council. Portlaoise Town Council is a 9-seater council. For years, the Fianna Fáil has been the dominant party in the town. So in other words, and politics is always winner takes all. So if Fianna Fáil has been the dominant, they only needed 5 seats out of 9. When they have 5 seats, the simple majority, they will produce the mayor, and they've been doing that maybe for about 20 years. Nothing has changed. Okay, in this 2004, the table turned. In 2004, I think there were 3. Wait a minute. There were 2 independents, myself and Tom Jacob. There was 1 Sinn Féin, that is 3. Okay, and then there was 3. There were 3 Fine Gael and 3 Fianna Fáil. There you are. 3 Fine Gael, 3 Fianna Fáil, 2 independents, and 1 Sinn Féin, making 9. And they will always talk about the big parties, small parties, and independents. That is the way they will. In Ireland, when you talk of big parties, then Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, the small parties, Sinn Féin falls among the small parties at the time. And then you talk of independence. So, so we are 9. The 2 big parties, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, that they wouldn't want to. I mean, they could have come together, and then there will be 6. Then they will run the council.
for 45 years. But you know yourself, I mean, the ideologies are not the same, even though locally all issues are pretty much the same. But they still want to retain their political sagacity and then the political nomenclature. So they don't want things to blend. So Fine Gael wants to be Fine Gael. Fine Fall want to be Fine Fall, but they are only 3-3. So what it means is that we are the bride. When I say the bride, the small party and the independents are the bride. So 2 independents and 1 Sinn Féin. So the 3 of us have our own meeting. That come, guys. These guys are going to come to us, surely. Okay? And then we got to know what is it that we want. So simple. And the thing is all about power. So because if you have power, you can achieve a lot to the community and to the town. So, and normally at the start, we have to share the roles out. You don't leave. So what it means is that we know that the Fine Four are going to come to us, but there was one member, my other independent left Fine Four to become independent. If he has his way, he will not want to do business with Fine Four. So, in other words, Fine Four did not even come to us, or before they came to us, Fine Gael had approached us. And when Fine Gael approached us with our 3 numbers, we 3, so making 6. So it's like, okay, now we have 6. We are in majority, 6:6:3. Well, how do we share the positions? And there are only 5 years that 6 of us can only produce 5 mayors. So meaning that 1 of us will go without mayor in the 5 years term. But we all come together to say that, you see, the 3 independent, the independent and the small parties, which is the 3 of us, we will have a shot of mayor for 1 year each. And Fine Gael were very kind and they were very magnanimous. They said, okay, we will take 2, that they will take, they agreed to take 2 years and give us 3 years. So that is how, even from day 1, we all signed the dotted line. The day that we were all, I mean, 6 of us are elected, we know that we've been returned. Now we signed the dotted line that in year 2004, it will be so turned to be mayor. 2005, it will be so and so. So we all signed that up until 2009, I think. Yeah. So I knew that. So I elected to be 2007 because I was new in the business, it's not a business, but I would say I was new. Is a terrain that is very new to me. I need to learn on the job. So there's no point in being the first or the second. And then, so we agreed. So I selected 7. So by the time 2007, so when I contacted you guys, I knew that all things being equal, even though politics could change, as we all know, people can change their minds in the last minute. But everybody were gentlemen, and we behaved gentlemanly and as gentlewomen as well. So, and that's how we went into that election. The entire media were there because it's the first time that would happen in Ireland. The entire community groups were behind it because this is what you guys have been, voluntary and community groups have been canvassing for to happen. So you were there with your family, and I remember NCCR, all of them, everybody, the place was packed. That this is good to see this happen. And but again, I still give that kudos to the people of Portlaoise, because if the people of Portlaoise has not made my election into the town council possible in 2004, there is no way my colleagues on the county council would have made that to become a reality in 2007. So the kudos goes to both the town people and then to my colleagues in the council, whom up till today we are still best of friends. I mean, it's a great honor to have been the #1 citizen in that town for that year and to have represented the town both locally, nationally, and internationally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rotimi. Without further ado, thank you very much and enjoy the Black History Month. I'm very sure there are a few activities taking place, and we keep in touch and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.